provide some examples of what the most common violations are, but also a B part to that? How do you approach it with a rider in this high stress environment?
You have to be very diplomatic. Very diplomatic and very gentle.
I think you could. I think
But
you should look
obviously,
for a job in bricks, Barbara. I feel like that would be a more appropriate place for your skill sets.
yes. So, obviously we try to be as nice and as educating as possible, but there are times when we just have to say, that's enough. You can't do that anymore. That's enough. You will be reported, or you've got a problem. There's been a spur mark on your horse, and unfortunately now we have to. You need to get off, and we have to deal with it. So there are times when we have to be strict, and that's for the welfare of the horses. But generally, 99% of our time is spent working with the riders and helping them and educating or explaining that something isn't correct, and it's up to them to fix it before they go and compete, or before they come in again, or whatever.
And what are some of the most common violations? You mentioned earlier on too tight nose bands or restrictive martingales.
So we don't often have issues with too tight nose bands, but we do when we do a hind boot check. We try to check them, and there is a guide in the FEI guidelines that the steward has to be able to put 2 fingers up through the nose band, between the nose band and the horse's nose. We do find every now and then that it's slightly tightened, and we ask the rider to just loosen it, and generally they all comply. We don't really have issues with that. The same thing with boots. We are finding still people with boots with pressure points inside them, or the very narrow straps on them. We don't really so much find any of the illegal type of fasteners anymore. People seem to have got that into their heads, but the shops still seem to be selling types of boots that do have either very narrow elastic straps, or ones with pressure points inside, and we just say, unfortunately, it's not allowed.
It's almost part of a systemic change that you're trying to enforce here, I suppose.
Yes. And unfortunately, as much as we try to be nice and educate people, unfortunately, the rules are there that something is not allowed. So there come a time when somebody else will complain or lodge an objection. So we really have to enforce the rules as much as we possibly can.